Hi, good evening, Victor. Today is January 7th, and the market was yet again celebrating the Democrats winning the Senate. And with the Republican base now being totally disillusioned and angry at the party, it seems likely the Democrats are going to keep control of the system for the foreseeable future. And of course, I was wrong thinking that the chaos in Washington and the divide and the discontent in the country would matter to the markets. It didn't. The markets love socialism and wokeness. And they don't care that the Democrats are trying to impeach Trump yet again, even though they changed their mind and left until Biden is inaugurated. And instead, the federal prosecutor, may charge Trump with inciting rioting. But the market loves socialism, taxes, regulations, anything. And the tech stocks were back today as NASDAQ rallied over 2.5% to close at new all-time highs, as our tech overlords reasserted control and showed us who's really in charge in US. It really is amazing to see the American president banned from all of the public forums, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, even Amazon's Twitch, all blocked him, and probably permanently. And YouTube said that they will remove all videos and accounts of people claiming that the election was fraud. So I just want to clarify that we think the election was fair and square. It all has become a joke, really. Politics, valuations, democracy, free speech. Elon Musk is the richest man in the world right now, as Tesla has rallied yet another 8%. And Elon Musk has tweeted a picture, a meme from the Capitol building of the guy with tattoos and a furry hat with horns, saying that this is what happens when you cancel the Burning Man. So it's all kind of funny, as bonds and Bitcoin pricing in the inflation, and Bitcoin is back to 40,000 after a quick drop of 3,000 in minutes. So the volatility is even more than before. And S&P 500 closed also at all new time highs today, around 3,000 round number after 1.5% run up. And not to be outdone, Russell 2000 was up almost 2%, with being up almost 10% since the low of the last 3 days. Victor, what do you make of all this?
Well, bonds set a new low,
Yes.
hit the 198 handle, and we have employment tomorrow. The S&P has never been at a 20-day high and up 50 before. Only once in the last 10 years has it been like this. Usually the employment number is leaked to on a need-to-know basis to Washington insiders. So in general, the Thursday performance of the market is indicative for the employment. So we should see something above 3,800 tomorrow for the S&P. I noticed that NASDAQ is 12,925, so looks like there's a constructal number of 13,000 for them. It's just a question of how low bonds have to get before they start pulling stocks down. I was wrong yesterday. I took all the negative things that are going to happen, the control of the government over the economy, the increase in the number of states, the union right to work being canceled, localities that have done a lot of mischief and are shooting themselves in the foot with pension plans will be bailed out. There'll be tremendous stimulus spending.
Yep.
The Fed will be in charge of more stimulus. I took that capital gains will be raised by some 40%. There'll be a wealth tax. To me, all this was negative, but there's a very good lesson to be learned. I learned it before it went to 3,800 today, which it reached about 4 times. There's always some bad news in the hopper. And if you do things on a qualitative basis, you'll always be whipsawed by the news. I was wrong. I was whipsawed by the news. Stick to buy and hold. That's the lesson there. Also, I noticed the Soji level of 50, the market tends to go through 37, go through the last 2 digits, not counting the decimals, tends to go through the 50s to an inordinate degree. I could go from 3640 to 3655, 3546 to 3555. But now look, Bitcoin at 40,000, it's near a Soji level of 50,000. This reminds me of when gold went straight up from 200 to 1,000. Bitcoin's been up about, since we interviewed Andy Aiken, Bitcoin's been up from 20, has almost doubled.
Almost doubled, yes.
I'm stunned, but I promise not to let my qualitative thoughts be too influential. Except that I know from sports, everyone hates a sore loser, and a lot of the papers are saying he's the worst sore loser in the world, in history. And he brought all this on himself by making the election a referendum on himself rather than on socialism.
Right. So
many people I know say, well, couldn't you tell that he was going to be like this from the time? All the real estate people I know warned me that he has the worst reputation in all of Wall Street, all of real estate, that there are thousands of suppliers who complained that they were stiffed by him. He says, I'm Trump, take 50%, sue me. Whole book on his cheating in golf. They say to me, you shouldn't be surprised. I mean, that's his persona. You would have thought that his lawyers would have helped him more. There was no reason for for him to handle that conference call. His lawyers should have done it, and his lawyers should have been complaining about the changes in legislation. His lawyers should have brought an action against all the wrongdoing on the other side. They didn't. For a whole 4 years, there wasn't one action
Right.
against the other side. It's sort of pathetic, you know, but good for the market. Eventually, the market will cool down. I don't know when. What's your thoughts?
Well, after my terrible prediction yesterday, I hesitate to make another prediction to be wrong, but
I hope you didn't lose money.
well, I did today. It happens, but I
So
still
did I.
think tomorrow, after the potential yet another gap up, we will sell off after the report.
Okay. I have here.
Can't win them all.
I have here the New York Post. Even they've thrown in the towel. They have the most negative articles about Trump that I've ever seen. Fortunately, they had a summary of how to bet. Another game that hurt the books was the Packers beating the Bears. It was the most bet game on Sunday and the worst result on their books. Anyway, they point out that normally the underdogs win 52% of the 52% of the time, but during the last month, they've won 55% of the time. The unders have won an inordinate number of times. Perhaps that should have given us a signal that it's time to go away from stridency and self-promotion and aggrandizement. Go for the underdogs and the unders. I have nothing else to say. So.
Well, there's one more indication of continuous exuberance. Robinhood is planning an IPO. So there is a lot more fun to be had in the market, it seems. Maybe they will time it. Who knows?
The word hubris and egotism and referendums and ineptitude. Those are the words that sore loser. All those words are the common views. I don't see how the Republicans are ever going to recover from this. Their whole party is in disarray.
Right.
He's been so disloyal and ungrateful to the men around him. People don't like that. People do not like his persona.
Yes.
I hope that the Republicans come from the ashes and they come with a new star. But he did get a terrible deal. There's no question about that. He got hit unfairly. There were so many things that were done to him that prevented him from winning. He was angry, but sort of, it's like when I was playing racquetball, squash, I got a lot of bad calls and the referees were very much against me. But I learned that arguing with them, it just made them give me more bad calls, and worse yet, it hurt my game.
Right.
So I stopped talking whatsoever on the court. My Uncle Howie, who I describe in the book, and was notorious for losing 55 finals of national handball championships. He used to go to the referees and tell them, if you give me one more bad call, I'm going to knock your block off and lay you out. And I know that you're probably betting against me and you're completely biased. And then my father was the grandest gentleman in the world. He'd go up to the referee and say, you have a very unappreciated job as referee. Do you mind if we take you out to some Chinese food? There used to be where the big social club, the strip club is in Brighton Beach. They used to have a Chinese restaurant, and the poor people in Brighton would go to that restaurant maybe once a month, have mugu gai pan, and so my father, there was a very good referee who was a writer for the Brooklyn Eagle. My father would thank the referee for his hard job. And a little bit of that approach rather than making a referendum on how evil the forces were laid against him, which they were.
Right.
Would have. So he definitely shot himself in the foot, and he's caused permanent damage. We will recoup and regroup and try to be completely quantitative in the future. Thank you very much, Ms. Sennett. I appreciate it.
Good night.
Yeah.